Hey guys, Godzilla A51 here with our next film in the Godzilla Retrospective. Godzilla Tai Hedorah. English translation, Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Okay. Also known here in the United States as Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. Okay. It's the turn of the new decade, entering the 70s. However, they're still embracing the psychedelic and wild colors of the 60s. And having a environmentalist kind of message to it. So, the film begins with a raw sewage plant. And inside the raw sewage, a head pops out. A head of a monster. We'll get into him. But then a song starts playing. You can kind of hear it in the background. It's called Save the Earth. Okay. We've seen Godzilla battle space monsters. We've seen Godzilla battle deities. We've seen Godzilla battle mind control. We've seen Godzilla battle giant apes. We've seen him fight lots of things. How does he do fighting against pollution? Years before? Yeah. Let's try to forget that. But anyway. So, the song is playing. It's a nice song showing scenes of mass pollution, and it's just kind of off-putting. But then again, the music's kind of giving you a hopeful feel for the future, so whatever. So, our film begins introducing us to a young boy named Ken, who is playing with his Godzilla action figures on a slide, and, you know, just being a nice kid. Then we are introduced to, I believe his name's Yukio. Yukio is a friend of the family who helps out the boy Ken's father. You know, he's a scientist. Oh, he is Dr. Yano. Okay, works on biology and, you know, sea life and stuff like that. When a local fisherman comes to his house with a peculiar-looking fish that resembles a tadpole, they're looking at it and seeing that this thing is covered in sludge, like this polluted sludge, and it's not really resembling any other tadpole on planet Earth. Then, about an hour later, we cut to the family sitting down enjoying dinner, when the same kind of tadpole, except a lot larger and with burning red eyes, destroys an oil tanker. Kinda creepy. So the fisherman shows Dr. Yano the spot where he found the fish, and Dr. Yano, he suits up with you know, some scuba gear and dives into the water to look for it. Okay, gotta give him props. Meanwhile, Ken stays on the beach and he's looking for clams when this comes knocking. Yes, it is the monster Hedorah, and it comes out of the water seemingly to attack Ken, but Ken has a knife, and he actually stabs Hedorah. The knife just going in and out, no blood, no organs. This thing is pure garbage. I'm not saying it's a bad monster. I'm saying it literally is pollution, all this stuff rolled into this sentient being. Where does it come from? Well, we'll get into that later. Hedorah goes back into the ocean and runs into Dr. Yano underwater. And then we see Dr. Yano afterwards. And he's kind of sporting this big burn on his face. This acidic burn, making him kind of look like Two-Face a little bit. You know, the face is a little different. But anyway. Later that night, Dr. Yano's like, well, screw this. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I don't even know what the hell this thing is. So he's starting to see that this thing is pure pollution, like he saw earlier, and that every cell on this thing is alive. And he actually does tests where they actually reform in water. It's just, that's kind of creepy. Meanwhile, Ken is in his bedroom and he has a dream of a big burning sun. And from behind the sun marches this guy, Godzilla, and he starts destroying the pollution. Problem is, it's just a dream, so rats. A few days go by, sightings of Hedorah and people being injured. Then they cut to a night then, where Yukio is at a club, and he's enjoying the dancing styles of Mickey. And she is, dancing around, singing the song, Save the Earth, and everyone else is dancing. Very psychedelic music is playing, when everyone's heads turn to fish. Has nothing to do with Hedorah, it's just odd. Anyway. And, suddenly, out of the ocean near a harbor, Hedorah comes on land. Except he has grown arms and legs resembling a frog, and still has a tail though, and begins smoking from a smokestack. I guess it's pollution coming from the stack, because Hedorah begins to grow. Then we hear a very familiar roar, and from out of the shadows comes this guy. That's right, Godzilla has arrived, and he and Hedorah do battle in, the harbor area. Godzilla, gaining the upper hand, not really doing any real damage to Hedorah, but just throwing him around, pieces of Hedorah falling off, and actually killing people. Yeah, there's these guys playing this, game, where they're, shuffling dice around or something, I don't know, but part of Hedorah goes into the room and kills all of them. And it shows their dead bodies, and so there's no, maybe they're alive. No, they're dead. We cut to the, the dance hall where they're at, or the others are at, and we see that the Hedorah's very crappy self is sucking up, pollution. And we see a poor little cat caught up in that, but, the cat's still alive. So it's like, okay. Godzilla and Hedorah battle out to sea. None seeing him for a while, when a few days later, Ken is at a amusement park with Yukio and Mickey, and they're just, hanging out, when Hedorah returns. At first it's in its frog stage, but then it shows off a new stage. Yeah, a flying saucer. When Godzilla returns, he begins battling this flying saucer version of Hedorah. Problem is, he can't really do anything, because Hedorah likes to fly around in this form. The two battle, but, Hedorah's able to escape. In its escape, it shows off a new, much deadlier attack. This acid rain pollution cloud that comes from it from when it's flying, and it can turn a full-grown human being from what they look like into bones in the matter of seconds. Rusting everything, burning everything along its path. The next day, it is said that death toll are in the thousands, and something has to be done with this monster. Well, Ken makes the idea that, it's just sludge. Well, why don't we just dry it out? So the doctor's like, yeah, that's a good idea. So they talk with the military, they begin making these giant electrical towers. And our film has its climactic scene at Mount Fuji, where Yukio, Mickey, Ken, they all gather with a bunch of friends. They're doing a little dance party. Hang on. Oh. Hey, buddy. And, you know, Godzilla is there. And they're like, oh, what's Godzilla doing here? From out of the shadows comes this. Yes, Hedorah has evolved once again. Oh, my honey. And begins battling with Godzilla. Godzilla, unfortunately, not doing really any more damage to Hedorah. You know, his atomic breath isn't really doing anything, and Hedorah has developed some new attacks. Mainly this red prism beam from its eye, actually blinding Godzilla in one of his eyes, and then farting out crap at Godzilla. I'm sorry, I can't think of a better name for it, because it sounds like he's farting, and then when it lands on Godzilla, it makes like a sound. So it's like crapping on Godzilla. And actually another part, he flies over Godzilla and bombards him with this same stuff, melting at Godzilla's skin and actually reducing Godzilla's right hand to nothing but bones. Yeah, this thing, Hedorah, he's not here to play, is he? The two continue battling. Godzilla actually finally able to do some damage to Hedorah, causing, damage, causing Hedorah's left eye, I think it is, to close. The two continue battling, when unfortunately one of them knocks over a electrical tower and shutting off the power to the electrical fences that they were building, electrical towers, I mean. So Hedorah shows off this other thing, its creepy laugh, as it's trying to drown Godzilla in its sludgy blood stuff crap. Yeah, this is a very off-putting monster. And then the two continue their fight, but Godzilla is knocked down and seems to be out when the Japanese military actually begin using these concentrated oxygen bombs, drawing Hedorah towards the electrical towers. But the power's out, so right out of nowhere, Godzilla breathes fire and turns on the electrical towers and begins drawing out Hedorah. Hedorah falling to the ground seemingly dead, Godzilla going over to Hedorah, and he begins ripping at Hedorah. And oddly, he pulls out these things. Yeah, these two orbs. Now, please, if you know what these are, please tell me. I've tried looking up what these things are, and I have no idea what they are. I've seen theories that they are eggs. That doesn't make any sense because it's not a normal animal like we are. Why would it reproduce like that with eggs? It makes no sense. Hey, Milo. Then I read it was his eyes, but Godzilla ripped them out of his lower back. So I don't understand how it's his eyes. And just odd. I don't know what they are, but seemingly Godzilla has won the day. But Godzilla turns once more to attack Hedorah, and a smaller part of Hedorah is starting to get away. Now, if one part of Hedorah survives, it can regrow into its normal size, and the doctor said that this thing could endlessly grow, feeding off of the pollution. Yeah, earlier in the film, Dr. Yano said that Hedorah, the way how its body is made, it's most likely an alien from a gaseous nebula that got attached to a meteor on the way to Earth. That's why it's so different. So, it's flying away. Let me preface to say this, Godzilla can't fly. But, what happens next? I hope you guys are sitting down. If you've seen the movie, then you know what happens next. But if you haven't, you might want to sit down. So, Godzilla spreads his arms, turns around, and starts breathing fire downward, creating jet propulsion and lifting Godzilla from the ground. Godzilla then tilting his head straight and begins pushing Godzilla in a flying motion towards Hedorah. yeah. Um, yeah. It's kind of funny, but also pretty cool at the same time. Godzilla grabbing a hold of Hedorah and bringing him back to Mount Fuji to be finished off by the electrical towers. But the power messes up again, and, Godzilla's not having that, so he uses atomic breath again and uses it on the electrical towers and finishes off Hedorah. However, Godzilla, he felt, he was a little betrayed last time, leaving Hedorah alone, so he goes over to Hedorah and begins ripping him to shreds, separating the body in all different piles, and then using the electrical towers one more time to completely dry out Hedorah. In the midst of all this, Hedorah did take some more lives, killing off Yukio and a bunch of the friends. Ken and Mickey were able to survive all of this. Godzilla turning towards the military, giving them a little scare, and then going off home to lick his wounds because he had a really tough time with this monster. The movie ending. But at the end, we cut back to that raw sewage plant, and we look into the water, and then a new head arises. Another Hedorah head, and the movie says, the end. And that was Godzilla versus Hedorah. Well, honestly, this was a fun movie to watch. Now, I could tell that I wasn't really meant for this, as I was born in the 80s, so I couldn't really get into the music the way I used to. I really miss Akira Ifukube by this point. I really want him to come back and please do another one of these movies, because the music I just don't like. Now, the song Save the Earth, I really do like. It's good, it gives off a good message. I like both the English version and the Japanese version, both fun to listen to. Godzilla in this film, I feel, was booked to look weak. And to show off this monster Hedorah, it makes a lot of sense why they did it the way they did. The nuclear allegory that Godzilla is, and how things can go so wrong with nuclear energy, is also mirrored in pollution at the time, and still is a bit of a problem nowadays, making Hedorah just as big a threat as Godzilla is. And having Godzilla, pretty much put Hedorah over most of the movie, and then Godzilla defeating him in the end. It's good stuff. The human characters are really good. If I had to pick a favorite, I'd have to say the kid, Ken. He did a good job. I liked him. Again, the doctor was good. The friend of the family, the dancer, everyone pulls together very well. Odd thing about this movie, there's a lot of animation cutscenes during it. Hedorah drinking, oil where there's a bunch of dead fish around him. That's all animated. The way how some of the transitions are done, it's just a very artsy, weird movie, and you have to accept a couple of weird things along with this. But if you're a Godzilla fan, you've accepted weird a long time ago. So what do I give this film altogether? Well, I'd have to give this film an A. Has a good message to it, excellent enemy for Godzilla to battle, and great human characters. Yeah, that's all I really ask for in a film like this. Well, this is Gochu to A51, saying goodnight. See y'all later.